To lead off our program today, Saturday the 16th, is Scott Uecker from the University of Indianapolis. He's worked in broadcasting for about 20 years, primarily in sports reporting. He's well known for his work with the Wabash Valley Broadcasting Operation. He actually created a news service where I made an appearance yesterday. He created the Network Indiana, which did a piece yesterday about this conference. He's also been renowned for his work with Indiana Sports Talk. He's done play-by-play of myriad ball games, including the 20 Indiana High School state championship games. Which was the most exciting, Scott? Scott?
Most exciting one? Wow. Interestingly enough, state championship games aren't always the most exciting. Probably the one I remember most is the last single class state championship basketball. It wasn't a bad game, it's just what it meant to the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I give you Scott Uecker to talk about the teaching of technology. Scott, it's all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, small group this morning. I teach at 8 a.m. every day of the week. So I'm kind of used to this on certain days. I do that because, as Barry mentioned, I'm a lifelong broadcaster. As I tell students all the time, especially if you go into radio, 8 a.m. is not late. You're almost done for the day. You're going to be out at 3:30, newsroom at 4 o'clock, 4:15, whatever the case may be. When Barry asked me to talk about teaching them technology, I said yes. Not that he really gave me much of a choice. And then I got to thinking about it. How do you teach technology? Just do it. And it's been an interesting exercise putting this together. I think I discovered some things myself. But I think we do this pretty well at the University of Indianapolis. And what I want to do is share with you some ideas. You're going to have to adapt these to whatever your situation is. All right? I'm very fortunate to work at a private university that has, in its communication program, about 120 majors. About 70 of those are in broadcasting. So I've got smaller classes. I have fantastic facilities. We have a full-blown Class B FM radio station. We put students on it, and I was just talking with Barry. We're making the transition to the portable people meter in this market now. So I've got students that we're cuming 50 to 60,000 listeners a week with students. So we have to set the bar pretty high. I've also got some very good TV facilities. Not what some of the other schools have, but again, technology to student ratio, which is very important. I've got a lot of technology to use with a smaller number of students, which helps. So what I'd like to do today is share some ideas with you. We have such a small group. I'd really like to make this more of a discussion or conversation as opposed to a lecture. I do that all the time. I prefer just to kind of have a conversation with you. So I'd like to talk about some of the objectives for teaching technology, also some of the obstacles, also what the reality is. Some strategies that I want to talk about technology at the end as a tool and then take your questions and also discuss. But as we go along, if something hits you, if you have an idea you'd like to share, please do so. I do have a little bit of a strange perspective. As Barry gave my bio, he made me a little younger than what I am, and I appreciate that because I turned 42 earlier this week. I actually celebrated my 25th year in this business. I spent the first 10 years in this market as a news director. And then, when I went to the university, I took the job as their director of engineering. So I have this perspective where content meets technology. And it is a strange perspective. I don't see a lot of people doing what I've done, but it's been a great career, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. So one of the things when we talk about technology, I think we need to understand that it is just a means to an end to produce content. One of the obstacles I'll talk about is that way too many of the students we're getting are in love with the technology, but not so much the content. And we've got to overcome that. I don't think this is as easy as it looks. Although, The advances in technology in some ways made it too easy.
You should put that up at CRT.
Yeah, this is from the legendary Bobby Ocean, a disc jockey out in Los Angeles that also draws comics. Back in the day, and some of the younger people in the room will not remember this, but most of us will remember in radio how you edited on quarter-inch reel-to-reel tape with razor blades. I'm not saying that I long for those days, because it's certainly a lot easier. I will say that my skills were more valuable back then because it wasn't as easy. I have a 12-year-old son that can edit video and edit audio, and his skills are not too bad. All right? Back in the day, I was really good at this. Now anybody can do it. Okay? So part of the thing is that the technology has made things easier, maybe too easy in some ways. So, since this is a small group, and I kind of expected this, I didn't know how small it was going to be, but Barry warned me that it is 8:30 on a Saturday morning, and I get that. Can we agree that students have different abilities when it comes to learning technology? Some of those embrace it, some of those not so much. Can we agree on that? Can we also agree that students need different skill sets in regard to their technology competencies? So immediately, we understand that some students migrate toward technology, others do not. We also understand that a broadcast engineer needs a lot more technology than a broadcast salesperson. Okay? But all these people are coming into our programs. And they're all probably starting in the same place. So immediately, we have some challenges. Okay? We need to meet the students where they are in their technology learning curve. We also need to provide them with the technology skills that they need to be successful in their chosen field. Right. Now, I would say that even a salesperson needs to have some technology skills. Okay. I would say that a promotions person needs to have technology skills. I would say the non-air personality needs to have technology skills. The reporter needs to have technology skills, but they probably don't need as much as some other people. But I think we have to understand that. So, when we talk about, at the university, teaching technology, and I did talk to a couple of my colleagues, and they agreed with this. First of all, we want to expand their capabilities beyond just the minimum. But you can be a salesperson and probably, use Microsoft Word, and you're probably going to be okay. We're not really satisfied with that. I don't think anyone should be. The second thing is, we want to get them to understand that technology is a means to an end. And I'm going to talk about this as we move along, but this is one of my biggest frustrations as a faculty member, is that students want to use technology, but they're not always using it for the best purposes. And then finally, I think we need to make technology transparent. Because if they're not worrying about the technology, they can focus on the end result. If we can make it transparent, then they can use that as a tool as opposed to focusing or worrying about the technology when they're trying to produce that news package or running that control surface so that they can produce a quality air shift. Okay? So it has to be transparent so they have confidence. Now, what are some of the obstacles to doing this? The list is very long. Okay. I think everyone in this room can say that we've been frustrated by technology. Now, you use Final Cut Pro or Avid to edit, whatever the case may be. There are just days when it just doesn't work out for you so well. So one of the first things we wind up with is fear or frustration. They're afraid of the technology, or they're frustrated by the technology. And I know that, I don't know if any of you have had this experience when you teach, but I'm constantly amazed at the students we get and how much they think they know, but how little when I assess they really do know. Anybody ever had the experience where you're trying to teach a student how to attach something to an email?